Tan Sri Michael Yeo, President for KSI Strategic Institute for Asia Pacific and President of the World Digital Chamber. Mr. George Bolender, Managing Director for Dragonfire Corporate Solutions, Malaysia. Ms. Noor Amy Ismail, Chief Operating Officer for Malaysia Venture Capital Management, MAVCAP. Mr. Usman Nisar, Chairman of Panjtan Group, Malaysia and Pakistan. Mr. Lokman Hamdan, Chief Executive Officer of Al Hufaz Management, Brunei Darussalam. And please welcome our esteemed moderator, Ms. Yuki Aizawa, Women in Tech Global Movement APAC Director, Country Director, Malaysia Chapter. Baiklah, if we are all ready, our esteemed panelists are ready, our moderator are ready with the topic, entrepreneurship and startups, funding approaches for startups. I hand over to our moderator, Ms. Yuki Aizawa.
Thank you. So I should have come from that side. I took the long way. I want to keep this session candid because it's after lunch. We're all going into a food coma, I think. Anyway, thank you so much for this opportunity to be moderating this panel. This is my first time in Sarawak. My name is Yuki. I'm Japanese, in Malaysia for 20 years now. Yes, so almost Malaysian. Nevertheless, I love the beautiful sky in Sarawak as well, and all the happenings with renewable energy topic. My little startup is also in a renewable energy sector, so I will be coming to Sarawak more now. Now with that, today we're talking about entrepreneurship and startups, funding approaches for startups particularly. I got into first the Islamic finance world more than 15 years ago, and as Japanese, I thought, wow, this concept, people, planet. Now we're talking so much about ESGs and all that. It's all aligned then. And ethical banking, all of these come into places. So with these topics within the halal sector, the Muslim economy, digital economy, today we have a very diverse background of esteemed speakers, from venture capital to trainings provider in both corporate, Islamic finance, as well as government-backed, strategic thinking, advisory consultant. So it will be also different perspective or backgrounds from Pakistan, conglomerate, I would say, and Brunei, Malaysia, Canadian, staying in Malaysia for 14 years. So you can see the colorful background of our speakers. So let me delve into today's topic, as I feel that these ecosystem enablers and supporters needs to be in place in order for the entrepreneurs, innovators, the visionaries to flourish, right? They need the support, proper support system in order to come up with innovation and to succeed, to commercialize. So let's delve into all the speakers, what they have to say in this space. Let me start first with I had a special request, Mr. Usman Nisar, to go as a first, a chairman of Panjtan Group, Malaysia and Pakistan. Panjtan Group is a diversified company involved in various sectors such as construction, real estate, hospitality, and trading across Pakistan with a base in Malaysia. Please, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Yuki, for giving me the chance, the opportunity, and honoring my request as well to go first. Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Usman Nisar. I am the chairman of Panjtan Group. We have a quite diversified profile. We are into mining, fertilizer, and commodity trading, and as well as human resource capital development. So today's topic is the startup challenges, basically. So I would like to actually, first of all, highlight especially what kind of funding that is available for the startups, especially in the beginning. So, well, when expecting to start a business, we're always, of course, looking for three things: time, ability, and finance. So most of the people, they have the time, they have the ability, but then the financing is the crucial part for any business to start up. So for that, the first thing first is, which I personally feel, of course, I have segregated into 10 different segments of funding, which on the first, we go for bootstrapping. So means the funding that we usually either from our savings, we utilize that either from our savings or, of course, borrowing and stuff. So basically, bootstrapping, a bit of elaboration on that. You see, when you are in bootstrapping, you have your own personal investment involved in the funding. So and then so basically the idea, whatever every business starts with an idea. So basically, when you have the idea, you put in your own funds and then you test it under bootstrap. Of course, putting in your own funds. And next one that we have, that the funding that we look for the startup is basically the crowdfunding. So for the crowdfunding, that is there are various platforms available actually right now, those who are providing the crowdfunding, basically, the crowdfunding, basically. So for that, of course, we have to, there are some backers available who support these kind of cause. And number third, that is very near to my heart, which is, of course, angel investors. So we already have, my focus as well right now is on angel investors as well, because we have been supporting, of course, the startup companies to actually nurture them and bringing to a different level altogether. But then for, as an angel investor, the interest is to actually, we actually either the entrepreneurs already existing in the market, and they prefer to have an equity in the basically in the company. And then furthermore, which is of course Ms. Noor Emi is also from venture capital. Yeah, so those are another interest. Of course, as when we are looking for a startup, so that is the funding that we are looking for. And last but not the least, of course, there are some other funding elements that I would like to highlight, which is, of course, from family and friends that we borrow. So basically, when we are, but again, in my opinion, when we are dealing with friends and families, funding, we should also be consider it as a real business deal, and some sort of written agreements must be there, the pitch, and of course the idea, the vision and the mission has to be shared with the funder, especially when it is coming from the family. And other than that, we also have, of course, there are certain other elements in the startup that we can utilize is, of course, for our incubators. And we're also right now working quite closely in this segment as well, which is incubation. Incubator centers we have created for, of course, for our IT sector, for our online marketing and stuff like that, which of course we nurture. We are, of course, guiding as well some of the new startups, entrepreneurs to come forward. And apart from that, I also want to, these are just the theories that how we can get some funding out of that. But my own personal experience I would like to share. It's been basically 17 years I'm in Malaysia. I'm originally from Pakistan. And it has been, I came to Malaysia to do my MBA, and now I'm doing my PhD in PR. So my own personal experience in Malaysia has been phenomenal. There has been a lot of hiccups, like any other entrepreneurs. You burn a few times, you learn a few times, And then from there, wherever I am today, right now, it is the result of those obstacles that we have faced till the date. And one very significant thing that I want to really highlight, especially for the youngsters, entrepreneurs, those who wants to become an entrepreneur and then and follow your dreams. Number one thing which I feel that no business idea has ever failed on paper. So it is always, so when you but of course the idea, idea is just an idea if you don't implement that. So but in order for you to implement, you need funding. And then for funding, my recommendation as always is that start as a bootstrapping first, and then from there attract the investors to come on board with you. And with that, just recently it's been a bit of my story that I want to share with you regarding how the journey started. But then a few years ago, around 5 years ago, we had a situation. So by the way, I'm into fertilizers as well. So we have our own mining company in Pakistan as well. We're doing some mining. So I want to share with you an incident. So I was a supplier of one of fertilizer product here in Malaysia, and that fertilizer company. My time is up. Yeah. So basically, what happened was I had this company, and then they approached me, and they told me that I had a contract with them for 3 years. But then what happened was one day they called me and they told me that they want to terminate my contract because there is a situation, there is a shortfall of the demand in the market for this particular product the fertilizer that they were doing. So so it was really a setback for me during that situation. But at the same time, when this situation arose, I had the idea came into my mind that why don't I, rather than just being a supplier to these fertilizer company, I do the end product, which is of course the fertilizer that they were making, and why don't I do the marketing for this particular fertilizer company. So what I did, I found the buyers for them, and then from there we revamped the whole ecosystem, the whole business model that I created. And here we are after 5 years. I am one of the biggest importer of rock phosphate into Malaysia, and I am one of the biggest exporter of fertilizer into Southeast Asian region. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. Usman. So we'll delve into more candid conversation a little bit later, maybe taking the question from the floor. So before we do that, we have a lot more speakers. So we'll go on to the next speaker, Mr. Sudarnoto Osman, Chief Executive Officer, Sarawak Digital Economy Corporation, a government-owned company entrusted to lead the implementation of Sarawak's digital economy initiatives. Floor is yours, please.
Yeah, thank you. Always let your father fix first, right? So, yeah. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat petang, konnichiwa. Yeah, I'll give you a little bit introduction of SDAC, what SDAC is doing, so that you have a better picture of what we're doing, so that Yuki can ask me the correct question after this. Yeah. So basically, Sarawak Digital Economy, or we call ourselves SDAC Berhad, was incorporated in January 2018, but only operationalized in the mid of when it's COVID period, that is July 2020. And we are wholly owned by the government under the purview of Ministry of Finance and New Economy. So, okay, under SDAC, we have few pillars which are we are basically looking into digital infrastructure as well. I mean, we are doing digital infrastructure in areas where it's non-viable because this is government funded. So we're talking about digital economy, so we're talking about digital inclusivity as well. So because if we have our rural people who are not able to access to the internet, then you are talking about digital gap, and you're talking about they not be able to move into digital economy, then there will be a disparity in terms of social status and so forth. So that's the reason why digital infrastructure is one of the key enabler for the digital economy. So this is one of the areas that we are focusing on as well, and we provide home broadband services in all these places and so forth. And of course, under that, we also have our cloud services. This is more to entice people from the industry to move into digitalization. As you know, cloud is a base for for digitalization, the industries and so forth. Then after move into the research and product, this is where we work together with the universities and the industry experts and industry partners, the likes of big players like Keysights, Huawei, IBM and so forth. And this is where we work with the universities and to come up with, and we fund translational research. We don't fund the fundamental research because that normally come from the federal. So we focus on translational research where research that can be commercialized. So these are something that we're working on as well. And there we also have our IR 4.0 prototyping lab and so forth. So that's under research. And of course, digital economy. Projects that what are the solutions that we can deploy on the ground itself in terms of smart agriculture, smart cities, and etc. And but under this, because of today's topic, then it goes to the innovation and entrepreneur. This is the area that we focus a lot because what we do is that before VC can come into picture, we need to make sure that at the supermarket there's a lot of startups where they can invest. So our job is to get these people to be invested. So these are the things that we are doing. We have our DIVA program. We have our Shark Tank version of Sarawak version, we call it the crocodile bite. Yeah, so you have that series as well, and then we are working with investments and so forth. So let me go through the next slides because I have to work like a Shinkansen now. Yeah, because I only have about 8 minutes. Next. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's with me. So this is the way we look at it. I mean, I would love to go in detail about how the slides will be, you know. So, but then I just give you a glimpse of it. So we actually started from even the STEM initiative. I mean, we wanted to make sure that even the school children, this is the future of our generation, are into the right industry, right? Not into accounting, not into become a lawyer and so forth. They want them to be in the right industries. So that's why we focus a lot on STEM initiative as well, even from primary school level all the way up to the universities areas. So, and then from there, they will have two paths where they can go to the universities. And from universities, we try to get them to be spin-off. It's not easy. You know, when you get people who are into research and need to become an entrepreneur, that's a very difficult task. But somehow or other, we're trying to do it as well. And or teaming them up with industry themselves. There's another two ways of how to go about it. And of course, downstream, we have also that come from the digital entrepreneur, digital entrepreneur who wants to be a startup, who wants to start a startup, so who wants to be the future unicorns or unicorns. So this is another area that we're looking at. And we built, Sarawak government actually built digital innovation hubs across all our divisions. Sarawak divisions are very big as a state in West Malaysia. So that's you can consider in every in West Malaysia it's one state, one innovation hub. So here is one division, one innovation hubs. And then of course we have accelerator and market access. This is where we work together with the industry players. And then of course we also talking about industrial linkage and that's where launch Sarawak. That is where we want the VCs to pick them up and eventually we want to have a successful startup. So this is a journey that we are now embarking on under the Sarawak digital ecosystem. And of course, where we take it up, we have different programs for different level of technology readiness level. So these are the level that we're looking at, and these are different programs that is addressing where they are now, right? Oh, okay. This is the this is the DIVA program that is normally the highest. One of the the accelerator program that we're looking at, where they have a certain level of TR level, normally at TR level 7. Yeah, this is where we work with some of these tech startups where we know that they can be able to be accelerated and more educating more on the entrepreneurial sides of things. And this is where we also provide seeds grant to them, about 150K of seed grants to every startup who are eligible to attend this program. And we have few cohorts. We have already run 2 cohorts. We're actually now opening up for the 3rd cohort. And unfortunately, we open it to Sarawakians. Not purely Sarawakian though, but if the company, we have a Sarawak ingredient in it, like for example, if there is just one Sarawakian is sufficient. Yeah, one guy or one lady who's from Sarawak, they will be eligible to participate in this program. But of course, they must have a good product that they can actually promote. Yeah, so these are the things that we're looking at. And of course, we partners with partners, program partners, who runs this program so that they can become they can work on the business that they're working on, and sometimes we change what they wanted to do because they thought they wanted to do A, but in actual fact B is better for them. You know, these are the things that's happening on the ground. So to date, for the past 2 cohort, we already estimated to have a valuation of 80 million of startups that we're working on, and I hope we are getting more and more from there. So we have people from drone tech, edutech, blockchain, IoT, and vision AI. Okay, and we also work with the likes of Mban. You know, we want angel investors, but I don't know. For us, we look at it. It seems like angel investors, but for some startup, they feel it like it's devil investors. I mean, I'm just joking. Yeah, but we are the first one that actually create the Shroud chapter, the first chapter outside of the Klang Valley, because normally the angel investors are mostly located in the fluid areas of Klang Valley. But we also felt that Sarawakian has a lot of high wealth individuals, so that's where we decided that we should form a chapter here, and I think we have already started doing it, and I think there's few investment that has already been made by this chapter. I think that's about it. Yeah, I managed to Shinkansen my way through. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
terima kasih. Arigatou gozaimasu, Mr. Danoto, the Shinkansen. I think you made a few key points, like maybe in the university nowadays it's popping up the entrepreneurship program as well. So rather than disengage, you already have that. Now on to Tan Sri now, Michael Yeo, Tan Sri Michael Yeo, President of KSI. Probably don't need the introduction, but I will. KSI Strategic Institute for Asia Pacific and President of World Digital Chamber, not-for-profit think tank for socio-economic well-being through the development of public policy ideas, research, public interaction, and strategic insight. The floor is yours, Tan Sri.
Thank you. Thank you, Yuki. Glad to be here to share some of my thoughts with all of you. What I'm sharing is basically derived from my previous life. My previous life, I was on the board of a bank, a commercial bank, and I was also on the boards of several venture capital companies and asset management companies in the country. Way back in 1997, when I was serving on this bank board, we co-founded what was then the KL Angels Club. That is the first angels organization in Malaysia, predecessor to Mban, which is 20 years later. So basically, I have some of the background in financing, in VC in particular, and also now in PE. I still sit on the board of a PE company, and I'd like to share some thoughts. We have always said that cash is the lifeblood of any business. Without a cash flow, companies cannot survive. And very, very often, cash flow is to a large extent dependent not only on the generation of revenue within a company, but sometimes also is dependent on external financing, bank financing, loans, and so on. What I think we need to take into account of what are some of the key criteria that financial institutions will provide lending to companies, and also explore some of the options in financing that can be available. Usman has earlier mentioned angel investing. We know about venture capital financing. There is a new wave of venture financing that is called debt ventures, where instead of you investing in equity in company, the debt venture company invests in the company by providing a loan, like a bank, but it takes a different perspective from a banker. I'm still on the board of a company that does debt venture financing. So we have to take into account what are some of the key issues and the key considerations that some of these lenders will provide. At the end of the day, most of the financiers will want an exit strategy, where they would either cash out by selling back to the initial founders of the company, or to another exit through another bigger company that might want to buy them out, or ideally through an IPO. So I think it's very important that when you are looking for financing, you look at some of the criteria, some of the expectations of your lenders. What would they want to get out from the investment in your company? And in the area of venture capital, typically we would look at a time frame of around 7 years for exit. Venture capital owners would not want to remain in the company beyond the 7-8 year period. So around that time, you have to prepare an exit strategy. So that's something that needs to be taken into account. The other issue that has been mentioned earlier also is to be ESG compliant, because increasingly a lot of the funds available, we want to look at your ESG track record, and I think that's a crucial, important thing. For the entrepreneurs, I think it's very crucial and essential to estimate your monthly burn rate. How much would you need to expense out every month? Because doing that cash flow projection, your spreadsheets are critical to ensure your survival and to be able to take to your bankers or people who are providing you with loans. It is, to me, as an evaluator of an applicant who want to borrow funds, I would want to start with looking at the owner's vision and mission. Why are you in business? What are you in business for? What is your marketplace? Who do you want to serve? How big is the market? And also being able to evaluate your business plan. Having a clear business plan, I think, is crucial for success. And your business plan needs to address your SWOT analysis, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You need to take into account also the marketing plan that you have and the product life cycles of your product offering. Very often companies come into the end of the product life cycle and then find it hard to survive beyond that. And in many of those cases, you need to reinvent a new product life cycle that will take you up on a new S-curve that will provide you a regeneration and rebirth. I think one needs to also take into account the power of networking in business, because the network will provide you with potential buyers, if not people who can help spread the good qualities of your product or service. So having good networking, having the ability to interact with many people, joining chambers of commerce, associations, other clubs and associations would be useful. And I think Amy is always promoting a lot of events. So you invited us to one again tonight. But that networking, I think, is important to be able to create opportunities where you can sell your product and services. The other important point that I would want to stress is that in your business strategy, in the business plan, you have to be able to clearly define your competitive advantage. Because again, lenders like us who evaluate application, we want to know where is your competitive advantage and where is the competitive edge that you are getting. And if we can go back to this, a very old theory that Harvard University spoke about, Professor Michael Porter spoke about and wrote about many, many years ago, a low-cost strategy or the differentiation strategy. I think you have to identify whether you want to have your company known for your low-cost product or for being a differentiated product. So those are important roles that one need to take into account as well. Before my time ends, I want to just share a little bit on the World Digital Chamber that we have just launched recently. We have a very prominent international advisory council set up. One of my founder members of the advisory council is Sir George Schimmel. Maybe you can give a wave to everybody. Yeah. George has been involved in promoting, incubating 4 unicorns in recent years. 5 now, is it? 3, okay. I thought you're coming one more. Okay, right. So this World Digital Chamber is basically aimed at promoting digital entrepreneurship, digital transformation, and digital inclusion. And it's open to any digital startup, any digital entrepreneur. You can join us, be members of the chamber, and we can develop quite a powerful global networking. We have two very prominent chairmen of the World Digital Chamber. One is Narayanan Murthy, Indian technology billionaire, founder of Infosys, and the other is Lord Marlin, who is a former UK Minister of Energy and who is chairman of the Commonwealth Innovation Council that is connecting with 40 over Commonwealth African countries as well. My time is up, sir.
Thank you, Tan Sri. I think we need the grit. I think from what we heard as an entrepreneur myself as well, we founded a startup a couple of years ago. You need to be able to pivot. You need to be able to survive. And money, when you get the money, you get the accountability. People come and horn into you. You have to be answerable, right? So deliver. Now on to you. Next to me, Mr. George Bolander, like myself, foreigner in Malaysia for long. So Managing Director, Dragonfire Corporate Solutions. Dragonfire Corporate Solutions, Syndrome Berhad, a management consulting firm and an HRDC registered training provider based in KL. The floor is yours, George.
Thank you, Yuki. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dan salam sejahtera dan salam Sarawak. Just to give you a bit of background on me, I worked in the field of economic development in Canada for about 19 years, serving Aboriginal entrepreneurs and Aboriginal communities. So I worked one-on-one with Aboriginal entrepreneurs and with communities to identify economic opportunities. I managed small business loan and contribution programs, and I led an economic development organization that delivered such programs and also employment training programs. And for the past 12 years, I've owned Dragonfire Corporate Solutions with this lovely young lady in the pink, sitting in the second row. So the comments that I want to offer today are from the perspective of grassroots entrepreneurs and micro and small and medium enterprises, and as the owner of a company that is looking for Sharia-compliant funding to support expansion in the future. So I just want to lay out the current landscape as I see it in terms of the MSME funding gap, because there is a funding gap for SMEs out there in Malaysia. And for those of you outside of Malaysia, maybe you can sort of relate it to the experience in your own countries. But some statistics: 95% of businesses worldwide are MSMEs. Here in Malaysia, it's about 97.2%. And here in Malaysia, they generate 38.2% of GDP and are responsible for over 7 million employment of 7 million people. According to Securities Commission Malaysian, in 2022, there was a 90 billion ringgit funding gap for MSMEs in Malaysia. Micro firms constitute almost 80% of the 1.2 million MSMEs in Malaysia. So very big market for financing. 48% of MSMEs are able to make it on their own. 52% require financing. In addition to that, 90% of financing for MSMEs is provided by banks. And according to the Small and Medium Enterprises Association of Malaysia, in October 2022, 40% of MSMEs had their loan applications rejected in the previous 6 months, despite all kinds of funding guarantees from the Malaysian government. So I'm going to speak about specifically about Islamic finance, Sharia-compliant finance, and how that might help to address the funding gap. Islamic finance, I'm a big advocate for Islamic finance. Being a Muslim, I want finance that is clean and something that will help me to live up to my obligations as a Muslim.
There's all kinds of Islamic finance products out there in the market right now for every stage of development, including startup. The market share of Islamic financing is about 44.5% here in Malaysia, and that has doubled since about 2018. Now, looking at financing for startups, did a Google search, and Sharia-compliant financing. Of course, there's the banks. There's alternative funding sources like peer-to-peer lending, P2P lending platforms. There are 11 that have been approved here in Malaysia as of 2020, and there's only about 3 that offer Sharia-compliant financing. In terms of equity crowdfunding, there have been 9 platforms approved here in Malaysia. Only about 2 of them offer Sharia-compliant financing. In terms of venture capital, there are a couple of companies that offer Sharia-compliant financing. I'm not sure about MavCap. I took a look at your website and didn't see any specific references to it. So, sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot there, Amy. Okay, so basically, if you're looking for Sharia-compliant financing, you're not going to find too many options here in Malaysia. So, what can we do about Islamic finance? Islamic finance has basically reached a plateau, I feel, here in Malaysia. It was developed in a conventional economic environment where the accumulation of wealth and the accumulation of money, unbridled pursuit of profits is sort of the be-all, end-all. And so, while we have the Islamic finance programs and the religious good housekeeping seal of approval on the programs, what we're lacking is that we're still continuing to operate in this environment where the pursuit of profits and maximization of shareholder value, that's still the be-all, end-all. Even when you look at Islamic banks, like Bank Islam, a fully Islamic bank, and they're still all about maximizing shareholder value. So we've, as a result, the products offered by the Islamic banks are very similar to the products that are offered by the conventional banks. And there's been sort of a complacency within the industry that, we've reached this area and there's nothing more to do. Well, I believe that Islamic finance is just where we are now, is just one step in the evolutionary chain, and we need to move beyond that. So we need to, in my opinion, we need to look at offering Islamic finance programs that are compatible with the Islamic economic worldview. And so the main principles of an Islamic economic system are that all wealth belongs to the Creator. We are merely the guardians of that wealth. Hoarding of wealth is prohibited, and circulation of wealth is a duty. So if we continue to operate as we have been, developing economic finance and offering if we continue to operate as we have been, offering Islamic finance through the conventional economic worldview, the rich will continue to get richer, the poor will continue to get poorer, and Muslims and non-Muslims with fantastic ideas about how to change the world with their businesses, their ideas will never see the light of day. And as Muslims, we had a wonderful society. Like 1,000 years ago, we were at the forefront of economic and other achievements in the world. We were great then. We can be great again. But we can't do it if we continue to operate in this conventional economic thing. So I know I'm just out of time, but just taking a couple more points. We need another measure of success beyond just profitability. And we need to look at things like jobs created, maintained, improvement in social conditions, social cohesion. We need to look at the economic and social good that's been created. And I wanted to also point out that the comments of the Prime Minister the other night at the gala dinner. He mentioned that that there's a need to innovate to ensure that Islamic finance and the Islamic economy meets the needs and objectives of Sharia, meets the high objectives of justice, increases participation in the financial system, and curtails the worst effects of unbridled capitalism. More or less his words. And great minds need to discuss this, and we need to come up with solutions to it. There was also the words of the Vice President of Indonesia, who also stressed that the ideals of the Islamic economy are based on justice, inclusion, that such a society is welfare-oriented, participative, and environmentally sustainable. Mentioned that halal economic model has to be adaptive while addressing Sharia to support expansion and advancement of the economy. And then also encouraged by the words of Tan Sri Abdul Wahid Omar, who moderated the first session yesterday, who said that there's a need for investment community consider finance not just from a risk-based perspective, but more from a purpose-based perspective. And so my final words on this is that you know, we have the opinions of financiers and politicians, and we have a problem here with Islamic finance. We need to address it, and I would encourage you, all of you, to work on that, especially those of you who are working in the industry. And I'm up for it, and so if anybody else wants to join me in working towards a new economic model, I would welcome that help. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, George. I think I can't agree with you more. Profit and purpose goes in hand. Nowadays, young people, when you create jobs by being a startup and entrepreneur, your employee will look at what's your vision and mission. And that has to include that purposefulness, I think, going forward. With that, I think it's a great transition to Mr. Lokman Hamdan. Sorry, Amy, I'm leaving you to the last. Yes, I'm leaving. No offense here, but so Mr. Lokman Hamdan, Chief Executive Officer, Al Hufas Management from Brunei. Al Hufas Management specializes in Quranic education and preservation, offering services related to Quran teaching or Islamic educational programs, including Islamic finance. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Yuki. Arigatou gozaimasu. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Haji Muhammad Luqman Al-Hakim bin Haji Hamdan bin Haji Bakar bin Haji Lakub. But people call me Loki. Not the one who kill people, I'm the one who teach Quran. That I do bad deeds, I do sins, I would do good deeds. Maybe I'm the Loki version of Muslim, a Muslim version of Loki. So Alhamdulillah, I would love to thank you to Global Muslim Business Forum 2023 for having me. I think I'm the only Bruneian through all this event. And Brunei, in terms of funding and startup scene, we are very, very young. It's going back to 2016, where actually I entered an entrepreneurship youth competition back in my university days. And there's one man, his name is Sun Lu. Sun Lu is, he started his career in technology, where he co-founded a technology company in Silicon Valley. And he raised over $37 million of venture capital. And the firm went to be recognized as top 20 leading company during his time. And when he came back to Brunei, I think His Majesty called him up to become the CEO of Darussalam Enterprise. Darussalam Enterprise actually is it's actually established in 2016. It is aimed to grow the SME in Brunei. So what he did is he created the first ever startup bootcamp in Brunei. So I'm so lucky. We won the UTB University Technology Brunei youth competition. I was offered to give an office in the Darussalam Enterprise incubation spot. And then there is where the journey started. We learned from basic. We invited some friends from Magic. We invited some friends from regional. For the first several years, we have many facilitators such as from Indonesia, from Singapore, from Malaysia, and then the people, youth in Brunei start to have this interest in business. In the beginning, it was only those seniors people who are based in construction companies or maybe catering. Food F&B is very huge in Brunei. If you want to survive in Brunei, it's only two business that are being suggested, which is one, sell cars, two, food. So Boost already been in Brunei since 2018, I think. Boost is the Australian company, right? So they survive. And then in Brunei, when I saw Brother Nato saying that Sarawak Angel Network, yeah, is that correct, sir? I actually being offered by Darussalam Enterprise to gather all the Brunei rich people to do similar things. So we have no name about it yet. Maybe Brunei Angel Network, Angel Investor Network. I'm not sure, but I'm also the vice president of Brunei Malay Chamber of Commerce and Industry as a religious affair. So what my advantages was I am very close with prominent businessmen in Brunei who get tenders, who have like three Ferraris, those kind of, but they are very humble, and these young people have no access to them yet. And I'm the middleman. So what happened is the Darussalam Enterprise asked me, like, if they go after this rich man, it's kind of like scary, a government official offering you to do this and to do that. So they use me. I don't know. I hope it's a good thing, lah. I hope it's not misused. And what happened is it's good for the youth, as Brother Usman said. Many people in the beginning will be bootstrapped. I think myself, I'm a mix of bootstrap plus friend and family. Because my father, my mother said to my grandfather, don't give him money. But when I came to my grandfather, and my grandfather said, your mom don't want me to give you money. I said, don't tell her. So that day, I was newlywed, young man. My background is Bachelor of Science in Islamic Finance. I sent all my CVs in Brunei to all the banks. I think more than 10 companies. And then you can guess it, no one replies. Except one bank. I want to mention this bank, Baiduri Bank. They give me an email, Assalamualaikum, dear Haji Luqman, duka cita. For those who love, you understand the story. So we didn't get the job. I'm a forced entrepreneur. I teach Quran. So the only income I had is $100 per month. But then my fellow friends from Egypt, when they came back to Brunei, you name it, Islamic universities, when they came back to Brunei, there's no job. So I said to myself, I want to be, I'm a job seeker, but I want to be a job provider. So what happened is I created a platform that connects teachers and customers, which solved the problem of finding teachers. It's similar to Food Panda. If I just explained to the Tan Sri, Michael Yeo just now, it's similar like Food Panda, but instead of I send you teachers. Oh, it's just the same concept. I used to go to Jakarta, seeing Grab, Gojek doing the same thing. So we are a platform of Quran teachers. And typically, Brunei, as a country of Negara Zikir, I saw in Reddit when I won a lot of award, I saw in Reddit how to win an award. Create an Islamic company based faith-based, and you will win an award. You know what? In less than 3 years, I won 6 awards. So I don't know what. So one of the friends and the bootstrap, mostly our income, the startup scene in Brunei, they are highly dependent on the prizes from the live wire, from Darussalam Enterprise. Darussalam Enterprise is very kind. For those who just started a business, can get $10,000 straight away. And more than 18 months, you can get 20,000 Brunei dollars. If if your performance are good, you have been added $20,000. It's good, it's good. And for example, as I said, the award, faith-based, we won 5,000, we won 8,000. It's like, I don't know, waterfall of money lah, huh? Without any. And the good thing, they gave us the Qardul Hasan. For those who's not familiar, it's a loan without interest. They gave us 25K. So it's quite happy with that sort of finance. And even Livewire, I was entitled to get, after winning the award, I was entitled to get another 20K Qardul Hasan. So Brunei is very young, but we are trying to catch up with our fellow neighbors, Sarawak, and I hope we can grow even better in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Lokwan San. Terima kasih. I think key takeaways: win award and be creative. This is for real, right? You have to survive. You have to pivot. So I'm leaving the best for last, as we said. I would say no introduction needed, but Miss Amy Noor, she has been my ally as well. Women in Tech, what we are trying to do here with all the funding that we are talking about, the severe funding, it's also true with women founders, right, or co-founders and startups. So we have been working together for quite some time. You have been supporting us all along. So thank you. Without further ado, I'm going to pass you the floor. Ms. Noor Amy Ismail, Chief Operating Officer of Malaysia Venture Capital Management. The floor is yours.
Hi, Assalamualaikum and Sarawak. Kami datang, okay? Not bad, huh? But before that, okay, I am, in all honesty, would like to invite all of you in this room today. We are hosting. We love Sarawak. We want Sarawak. So we thought, like, let's break the ice. Tonight, we'll be hosting the startup ecosystem universities. I actually opened a little bit more space tonight because at first we thought, like, okay lah, 30 orang. And suddenly, you know, it's flooding, like, oh, I have to keep approving, and we are opening the space. How do you want to go there? Please go to our Instagram, official MAFCAP, register, and I personally will approve the invitation. Yeah, that's what CEO of MAFCAP. No, we really want to host because, you know, listening to the gentleman on the stage, you know Sarawak is a gold mine, okay? And before that, I would like to thank you, Tan Sri, for being the strongest ally for us women here. You'll see here on the stage, right? If Yuki is not here, it will be me alone. But that's very normal view, even in Kuala Lumpur. So if you get like, tak ada kerja ke si OMFCAP ni, dia cakap je. Yes, it's work. Because the only 1% of total funding, VC funding in Malaysia, went to female-funded company. Dah lah sikit. Okay, I'm going to tell you, as we speak, I have been reading, researching, because we are currently leading what we think is the most important papers for the venture capital in Malaysia. We are leading the Malaysia Venture Capital Roadmap. So, good news, I'm leading it with the team. So, do we need quota women? My answer is yes. So I am going to promise all of you that will be in the policy paper. Is it easy? No, it's not. So let me tell you, what is really, you guys going to be the first person that the data is not yet because the paper this morning as we speak, I'm reading it as well. It's not much. The total funding, VC funding in Malaysia is not much. Okay, it's only 758 million US dollar. Sikit gila. Okay, very very little. But what I'm saying, out of that 758, 0.2 million is actually for TNG, Touch and Go, and OSK. They are big. So yang tinggal kita ni banyak mana? So that 758 is equal to 156 deal. This is Malaysia with 33 million population. So if that amount equal to 156, so let's go to neighboring countries. 1,111, Singapore. You know, so is it really a problem? Okay, let me give you another scenario. You know, when the CEO of SDAC is saying that there are a lot of accelerators and stuff like that. But why can't we go further? Out of 758 million, 91.9% funding went to Series B and above. So orang-orang macam kita ni, yang baru ideation, incubator, that's the only little money that we have. Okay, so when we don't have enough funnel, I'm sure none of us is unicorn yet, because there's only one unicorn in Malaysia, Kasem. Okay, so we are all bootstrapped. Promise me, okay? I tell you, we meet all these people day in and day out. We don't have enough funding. When we don't have enough strong startups at the early stage, we are struggling at the later stage. Okay, why is the money not there? Because the private sectors, compared to other countries, don't come and play. Private tak nak gang kita. You know why? Because the risk is very high. 90% of startups will fail globally. Okay, but what if we are the 10%? But what we are the customer of the world, right? So what I'm saying, right? I love accelerator program. So as a Muslim, you know, the first revolution of Quran is Iqra. You can never go wrong with that. So if you have the accelerator program, cohort 3, tolonglah register. Yes, because you think, you know, I mean, I have my own business back then. Masa tu ada startup and stuff like that. We are narcissists. You know, we think that we have the best business plan. We have, you know, I'm not telling, maybe you are not, I was, okay? So I think I have the best idea, like everything. But if you are not in the conversation with the industry, this is where you fail. So that's why Tan Sri say network. So that's why datang parti kami malam ni. Okay lah, bukan parti lah, maaf ya Ustaz. Ya, makan-makan. So that's why I'm saying the conversation need to happen. Okay, so let's start with the conversation first. I mean, we've seen so many startups who come and approach us. When I read their proposal, I thought I understand. When they started presenting, it went on the other side. Because we are not a good communicator. Not everybody is a good communicator. We understand, okay? So that's why you need to go make friends, quality network. You know, you don't want to go for a party or network just for a sake of go. You have to make sure that you have a quality network. Those people that matters to you. So, well, everybody's talking about funding, right? You're gonna ask like, where do I get help? How? So I'm gonna tell you again, I personally, again, because I understand, because I have my own business back then and we still have it, but I don't go to VC because cost of funding for VC is very high. So you have to keep on in your mind like, don't asyik pergi cari all this grant and stuff like that. Make sure that your business is solid enough for you to be bankable. Okay? Because bank tetap paling murah. Okay? So go to www.mafcat.com. Okay? There's a microsite that we listed down the national funding. I mean, the list is non-exhaustive, but go. Approach, okay? And the next microsite that you have is the list of the private funding, ECF ke, equity crowdfunding ke, semua ada dekat situ. But entrepreneurs, let me tell you, for you to raise fund, you will fail 60 times. you will be rejected minimum 60 times. So don't be disheartened. Continue doing it. And what I'm saying that if your business model is solid, the money will come to you. And I also like to address your concern on Shariah. As we speak again, for whatever reason, Alhamdulillah, must be Sarawak, I just received an appointment letter to be one of investment advisor to Wahid X. Wahid X, their Shariah is nothing close to us. Dia macam betul ke Malaysia ni? You know, betul ke Shariah? So what I'm saying, I'm actually honoured to be their investment advisor. So we hope, you know, we move a needle a little bit when it comes to the Shariah financing. Wahid X is actually backed by Aramco. So if I could offer myself, follow me from LinkedIn, you have business, please send me your pitch. What I can do personally, because MAFCAP only invests from pre-series A and above. Okay, so we don't play, our mandate is not to play at the grant level or ideation level. Tak boleh. But I am happy to offer myself as a fellow Muslim, as a fellow woman, as a fellow Malaysians. Please send me your proposal through my LinkedIn. I'm so sorry, I might miss messages. You know, there's so many messages, but I promise you, your deck, not more than 10 slides. Not more than 10 slides, okay? That's how you pitch, okay? Because you need only 10 minutes to pitch for us to trust you. I will personally circulate it to the VC ecosystem. I mean, kawan-kawan. Okay, with that, I hope to see you guys tonight. Bukan party, ya. Yep, so please register yourself and let's be friends. Let's the conversation happen. And Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Noor. So we all agree that networking, but on top of that, communication skills. I've seen in McKinsey report of recent, communication skills. If you go to networking, but you can't resonate with anyone or can't have a conversation starter, I think that's already, just being there doesn't bring you any value. So communication skills, hone into that. Everyone can do this. You can brush up your communication skills. So with that, I think we are coming to very little time, and I think I want to open it up to the floor for a Q&A and to get into a little bit of a two-way conversation. Anyone? We have such an esteemed, diverse background. Yeah, we don't. Then maybe one quick round of, it seems that there is no, there's one. Okay, just one quick one, and then we have to close up, apparently.
Thank you, Yuki. I do not have any specific, this question does not have a specific target, I would say. Any of the speakers are invited to share some thoughts. Now, I would like to highlight one of the, what Madam Amy had mentioned. Okay, Amy aja. We spoke about one of our unicorns, which is the only unicorn in Malaysia, which is Kasem. They have just downsized their second round for the year, actually. And so my question to our esteemed panelists here, how can investors ensure a proper governance to protect assets, which is the human capital? We are always talking about return to investors and all that, but I fail to see in many instances where the assets, the real assets who are actually working for the profitability of the organization is protected. Thoughts? Thank you.
Apparently we are really out of time, so just a very quick one, if anyone.
The trend has changed when it comes to valuation. Valuation ni value ya, dia tak ada kena-mengena dengan dia punya profit. So dulu, before COVID, you know all this Silicon Valley and stuff like that, the valuation, okay, everybody will invest, but immediately after COVID, the trend has changed. It's still the bottom line. Yes, we will address the ESG issues, social governance and stuff like that. But you remember startup, they always think that they boleh buat suka hati and stuff like that. So the moment that you are in public eyes, you can't do that anymore. So I understand Kasim's issue. If you were to ask me personally, I know Eric, that lovely, lovely boy, lovely team. But when you are too ambitious, sometimes you miss to step back. So maksudnya, we have this word in MAFCAT that we call leha-leha, means slow. You know, you're going to get there, but be very concerned about the responsibility to investors. It still has to hit bottom line. And this is not only in Kasim, Grab, Uber, or anything. You know, now, like, you know, the crazy story of Chat GPT, they actually removed the CEO. So we always have this thing because we are still new and there's no really proper regulation. But we as investor, very concerned on the PBT. So, you know, by the end of the day, you can talk about impact investment. We agree and all those things. But as a business owner, you yourself, you know, show me the money. Yep.
All right, thank you for that. I think we have to close this and probably continue with tonight's party at MAFCAP. So thank you very much, esteemed panel speakers, and thank you, delegates.
Thank you very much, Ms. Yuki Aizawa, our moderator for today, and another big round of applause for all our speakers, Mr. Siddhartha Osman, Tan Sri Michael Yeo, Mr. George Bolender, Ms. Noor Amy Ismail, Mr. Usman Nisar, and Mr. Lokman Hamdan. Can we get a group photo with them, please? And just a very, very crucial takeaway, what Tan Sri Michael mentioned just now, that it is important that we align our vision and mission for our startups, our companies for that matter. And at the same time, you must have a strong business plan. And what is more important is believe in your company, believe in your brand. If you don't believe in your own brand, then no one else will believe in them. So ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up our first breakout session, Entrepreneurship and Startups, Funding Approaches for Startups. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, mari kita bagi tepukan Sarawak untuk mereka. Terima kasih. Alright, just a friendly reminder, the MAVCAP networking session will start at 6:30 at the Granary, yeah, just right opposite the a la carte area, yeah. So if you do have time, do drop by to MAVCAP at 6:30. You can ask more questions to Miss Amy, yeah, and she will be there to explain and to guide and give advice on your way and paving your future to a better future for your startup journey. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, hadirin yang saya hormati sekalian, maybe we can take our seats and we shall continue with our final session of the parallel workshop today. It is yet another very interesting topic, youth. Are there many youths here today? Can I get a hands up? A lot of youths here today. Are there a lot of startups owners here? Yeah? I see two. Baiklah. Our next session, ladies and gentlemen, entitled Youth is the Main Priority for Leaders. And with all due respect, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause for our distinguished speakers, the Honorable Dato' Gerald Rentap Jabu, Deputy Minister for Youth, Sports and Entrepreneur Development, Sarawak Youth and Sports, Ms. Nur Farini Daing, Co-founder and CEO of Youth Trust Foundation Malaysia, Mr. Ali Javed, founder and CEO of News Network India, Mr. Joko Susilo, Project Manager, Youth Break the Boundaries Foundation Indonesia, and please welcome our moderator, Mr. Zaim Mozani, Director of External Relations, KSI Strategic Institute for Asia Pacific. Ladies and gentlemen, with the parallel session entitled Youth is the Main Priority for Leaders, I hand over to our handsome moderator.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can just sit down. For those who want to network, I think you can make your way out. And for those who want to sit in, I think you can sit in. We should start on time because we have a closing address by Deputy Premier Dato' Amar Awang Tengah at after 4:30. So I think we should get this off the ground. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to GMBF Parallel Session on Youth. I just want to echo what the MC mentioned. How many of you are below 30 years old? Hands up. Below 30 years old. You are liars, sir. No, sir. Okay, so we have, I think, five people below 30 years old. Below 40 years old? 40, below 40 years old? These people are dishonest. So we have, okay. No, it doesn't. Okay, so we have about 10, including myself, 11 maybe. Great. So this is a very, I think, important topic for many reasons. And I have a very interesting panel on my left-hand side. I want to quickly just go through their bios. I know the bios are online, but I want to quickly just highlight some of the things I think are interesting about the speakers, if you don't mind. And I will hand over to the speakers for some quick remarks, about 5 to 8 minutes. And then we'll open for question and answer. I'll start the questions and then I'll pass it to the floor eventually. Now on my direct left-hand side is YB Dato' Gerald Rentap Jabu, Deputy Minister for Youth and Sports Entrepreneurship Development Sarawak. And YB's experience is immense. He combines sports, politics, and community development. And his unique blend of leadership in both governmental and non-profit sectors, as well as private sector, makes him very experienced, I think, in understanding the different sectors, private sector, public sector, and social sector. And I think because of that, YB is the perfect person for this portfolio because of his involvement in sports associations. He established, we just talked about it just now, the shooting association, also involved in the weightlifting association at one point, and various youth associations. That makes him very, very credible to be the Deputy Minister for Youth and Sports. And I think, I'm very looking forward to YB's, interventions afterwards. On YB's left is, sorry, my notes followed the order, but I've been, hold on, let me find, Joko Susilo, better known as Susilo, not Susilo Bambang, yeah? Don't confuse with Susilo Bambang. Susilo is very young. He's below 30 years old. He combines educational expertise and adept project management. He manages complex projects such as the Youth Break the Boundaries in Istanbul and the Safa photo work in Indonesia, alongside his experience as an English teacher. He is the president of Eco-Based Student Association and is involved with various training and volunteering activities. So very multifaceted, dedicated to youth empowerment and impact and community engagement. So very looking forward to hearing what Susilo has to say afterwards. On his left is a scholar, ladies and gentlemen, a young scholar, a man that I've just had the honor and privilege of listening to him speak just very briefly but a very engaging, very energetic, charismatic, a man who obviously is, I would say maybe ahead of his time in many ways. He is Mr. Ali Javed, founder and CEO of Naus. I was going to Naus Network from India. And as I was reading your bio, I think I was trying to decipher actually, the work that you do. But I think maybe I'll leave that for you to introduce yourself afterwards, because I think the work you do in your think tank, I think, is very important and I think very significant, especially in the context and environment of India. I think you do amazing work, very brave work, and I think I will let you do justice to I think what you do. And on his left is Miss Nur Farini Daeng, aka Nini, co-founder and CEO of Youth Trust Foundation, better known as My Harapan. She is so she co-founded and is the CEO of My Harapan, and that organization has impacted over 25,000 young people. There's a lot of young people, guys, a lot more than I think many of us can ever impact. And she obviously is committed to empowering the next generation. Her experience in guiding startups and her expertise in BD, business development, combined with a solid educational background, makes her a key figure in shaping the future of social entrepreneurship, SE, and youth empowerment in Malaysia. So we have a very, very power-packed panel. Let's just give all of them a round of applause for being here. And I think, give them a round of applause, Raymond. Give him my hand, yes. Thank you so much. I will start with YB. YB, I'll leave the floor to you, 5 to 8 minutes. Take it away. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zaim. Selamat petang, salam sejahtera, salam seraku sayang. And to all the delegates, I see Tan Sri is still here. So I'd like to welcome you all, although this is the last day of our Global Muslim Business Forum. But welcome to Kuching once again. I'm so happy that we can be together at BCCK. I think to start, I'm overwhelmed by Zaim's comment saying that I'm the right person with the right age, whatever it is. But cumulatively, these three guys here, I think they've got more experience than me. So I think I'll let them speak later on and here. No need to compare, but I'll put you into perspective of what we do, especially in Sarawak. I think I want to start with a quote. The power of youth is the common wealth of the entire world. The faces of young people are the faces of our past, our present, and our future. No segment in society can match with the power, idealism, enthusiasm, and courage of the young people. Maybe Ali can know who quoted this. Anyway, this is a quote from Kailash Satyarthi, who is a Nobel Peace Prize recipient 2014, together with Malala Yousafzai. And he is an education activist, and more importantly, I think looking at how to help the young. I think he is a very famous guy in India. I think with that, the common theme that we're here today is about youth. And to me, the youth is the driving force of the economy, the world, and also the future of us all here. So I take you back to Sarawak, is what we've done here. We had the courtesy just now with Sri Iqbal and Tan Sri Majid today. So it was very interesting that we're talking about how we in Sarawak, especially with our leadership and our policy, we encourage the youth to be part of the development of leadership. Importantly, we do not recognize that there is a certain age to be youth. Yes, the category is there, but we want to have, more importantly, to have continuity, and also in the sense of how do you call it, finding somebody to replace the leadership as it is. So with that, most important thing that we want to go and see is that we need to make sure that their education, their recognition, and their empowerment, and also giving them the opportunity. I think this is where the youth lies. I think some of you are here who is below 40, as Zaim was saying to that. And there is a role for everybody, the role for them especially as leaders, and us as policymakers must know how to ensure that the voices and the struggles, challenges of the youth to be heard. I think within the leadership, one of the things that I still remember when the then Chief Minister, now our Governor, Tun Taib, came up in the early 2000s. He was talking about paradigm shift of the thinking of our people, how we grow, how to go and groom the younger people, especially the leaders. So he came up with a theme. He calls it to come last time, sorry. But now I change it. I like to mention it as comet. Comet as the star that flies up in the air. So number one, C represents change. The youth need to change to improve. Secondly, O is the opportunity that's created, especially now as the world changes. And three, the mobility, M for mobility, because we are so mobile now with the internet, with whatever it is, with the infrastructure we have, we're so mobile. That creates equity for us and also equality. When you have equity in what you do, you also have equality in what you want. But this is where the youth plays a bigger role because of T, technology. And technology is the binding force for us now to change, to improve. So in terms of leadership, although the youth is always, enthusiastic and wanting and aspire and asking for what they want today must be served to them also at the end of the day. But most importantly, we want to have them, to give them the opportunity and also the experience so that we can move forward. I think maybe Ali can give a better perspective for what his room experience. I think Zaim, I think that's enough for me first, so we can hear for any other questions from the floor later on. Thank you.
Sure, thank you so much, YB, and you know, I really like what you mentioned about the comment. I remember everyone, COMET. C is for change, O is for opportunity, M is for mobility, E is for equality, and T is for technology. So I think that's brilliant a framework of youth empowerment and giving them the opportunity to succeed, but also as policymakers delivering on their aspirations. Thank you so much. I think we will go next to Cecilio. The floor is yours.
All right, thank you. So I think can I stand up, please? All right. So I'm really suitable if I can stand up. So okay, good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Susilo. So now I'm a project manager in Youth Break the Boundaries. So before that, I will play some video. So operator, can you help me? So actually, this is my company profiles from Youth Break the Boundaries. So where is the voice? All right, so this is our company profile. So actually, we are doing our event in Istanbul Youth Summit in Istanbul actually. So we'll invite from young generation across the world. So this is our committee. Aldi Subakti, Meldi, Korea, and others. So this is Meldi Latifa, CEO and founder EBB. So actually we are Indonesian, but we have an event in Istanbul Youth Summit.
Identity and character, and also providing the noble values of the youth.
So this is Mr. Aldi Subakti. He is a CEO of EBB and chairman Istanbul Youth Summit. So every year we have like Istanbul Youth Summit. Will be held in Istanbul. So we invite across young generation, youth people to come and participate this event.
That we share on our websites, mobile application, and other social medias.
All right, EBB Younger Leaders. All right, Aspire the Next. Okay, so this is our company profile actually. So I will do my presentation. All right, so what is the time is about Youth Break the Boundaries, Inspire the Next. Next slide, please. So this is our our organization. So Youth Break the Boundaries Foundation is a foundation that focuses on instruments regarding the development, empowerment of the youth to prepare excellent future leaders by promoting strong identity and character and providing noble values for the youth. So it means like we can do something for supporting in young generation with this event. So next slide, please. Okay, this is our vision in our organization. So actually realizing a generation of youth with a good spiritual, intellectual, emotional integrity, it can develop their potential to answer the challenges of global life in all fields to contribute to building the nation together. Next slide, please. Okay, this is our mission. So actually we have 3 missions for our organization. So the first is improve professionalism capability, and then prioritize independent family principles, and the last, guide the role and function of the youth as the spirit head of nation development. So next slide, please. So actually, this is our history of UBB Foundation. So we established in 2017. Actually, we have 75 participants, and then next 2019 we have 75 participants again. But during the pandemic situation, we know that we cannot go travel around the world, so we have to prepare about like maybe vaccine and others. So it's really quite difficult to make this program in Istanbul actually. So 2020 we have like 165 participants. 2021 we have 150 participants. 2022 we have like 300 participants across the world. So this year we have like 350 participants. Next slide, please. So this is our several program in Youth Break the Boundaries. We have like Istanbul Youth Summit, Middle East Youth Summit, Scholarship Mentoring, Language Course, and UBB Pemuda Scholarship. So Istanbul Youth Summit, as I mentioned before, like we will do an annual program in Istanbul. So we invite young generation to join this event. So the next one, Middle East Youth Summit. This program conducted in Saudi Arabia. So of course, you know, like it's not only about the program, but we will do Umrah together for these programs. So next is scholarship mentoring. So if you know that the problem solving, if your generation, if they want to come to the university, they don't have how to apply, how to you know, like do for the requirement of the campus. This scholarship mentoring we provide to help them to finish their application in the university. So next, language courses. So actually we have like Turkish, Korean, Arabic, English, German. So we invite from you know, like any person to be a volunteer for this program. So the last is EBB Pemuda Scholarship. Is giving scholarship for the student in Indonesia to support their education, especially in senior high schools. So next slide, please. So this is our classes agenda in Istanbul Youth Summit 2023. And then it's the 6th International Conference, a program established by the Youth Break Boundaries Foundation. This program strives to develop the spirit of youth leadership and train special future leaders through a moral-based approach to education that fosters nationalism, character, values, and international culture in the youth generations. So next slide, please. So this is our client and partnership. So and then our previous partners and sponsor, we have Central Bank of Indonesia, and then UTB Scholarship, and then Wardah, CAF, and others. So this is our alumni. So actually we have alumni many countries such as Indonesia, Pakistan, Thailand, Philippines, and more countries. So next slide, please. So this is our previous speaker. So we have like Billy Mabasa, President Special of President Staff of Indonesia, and then we have Prof. Mehmet Asutai. He is a professor of Middle Eastern Islamic Political Economy Finance and also Director of Islamic Finance Banking in the Durham University. And then Emre Aruk, Director of Turkey Busalari, and Hilman Izar is Senior Economist and Member Islamic Development Bank ISDB Group in Saudi Arabia. So this is our previous speaker. Next slide, please. So this is like our project before. So in February, we have Istanbul Youth Summit, March Middle East Youth Summit, May Youth Leader Camp, and July we have a World Youth Festival in Malaysia. So actually we have program in Malaysia, and I think it's really interesting if we can work together and we can do collaboration for this event. So in October, we have Tokyo Youth Summit, And November we have Dubai Future Bootcamp and Middle East Youth Summit Batch 2. So next slide, please. So this is like actually we have 7 programs in 2024. The first is Middle East Youth Summit, Istanbul Youth Summit, Japan Youth Summit, Youth Leader Camp Volunteering, World Youth Festival, Middle East Youth Summit, and Youth Academic Forum. Next slide, please. So this is our social media. If you want to know about our organization, you can visit our social media, Youth Break the Boundaries, and also Istanbul Youth Summit. Next slide, please. So this is World Youth Festival. Actually, this event conduct in Malaysia. So if you want to join with us, feel free. So you can do collaboration for this event. So next slide, please. So this is our YouTube, UBB Foundation. If you want to know about our program, our event, you can go directly to our YouTube channels. So next slide, please. So this is my conclusion. Several example of youth-led initiative and organization addressing social and environmental issues, promoting innovation, entrepreneurships, and advocating for positive change. If you want to be part of ours, contact us as soon as possible, such as partnership, collaboration, and others. So, video. Okay, thank you. So, okay, so you can play the video first. So this is the last section. So this is our testimonial from our alumni actually, because we have many alumni across the countries.
Hi everyone, my name is Lavanya. I am from Malaysia.
So, and hello everyone, my name is Alex and I'm from Cambodia.
So, hello everyone, we are at Minh Hong.
I'm Someta.
We are from Cambodia.
Hi guys, my name is Iran and I'm from China.
Hello guys, my name is Marufam and I'm from Pakistan.
Hi Somalia, this is Muhammad Hussein from Yemen.
So I've joined our 2023 batch of youth leader camp.
To know about this video, you can come to our YouTube channel. So thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much to Susilo. Very interesting. You talked about YBB, Youth Break Boundaries Foundation, Istanbul Youth Summit, and also a slew of other youth summits, including one in Malaysia. I'm actually quite inspired because I'm familiar with a number of global youth programs such as One Young World, Global Citizen. So I'm glad to see there is actually an Asian ASEAN homebred program. I'm very proud. I think very proud and very honored. I think that that there is one that comes from our region. So congratulations, kudos. Good to know that I think you're spearheading this, and it's better that we have more programs coming from our region than us going out to other regions. So congratulations. Thanks so much. We'll come back to you, I think, in terms of your experience in youth engagement and for youth diplomacy and how you see the world, especially in the current context. Okay. Next, we have Ali Javed. I'll let you take the floor. I'll keep it suspense. I think I'll just leave it there. Floor is yours.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidina Muhammadin ashrafi mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. One of the irony of this session is that although it talks about youth as a priority of the future, the session happens to be the last session. So it speaks a lot about the priority. But it's fine. I mean, at least we got a stage. So alhamdulillah. So one of the things that I have faced as somebody who works in India is the generational gap between the youngsters and the old generation people. So the young generation, usually what they're doing is interacting with technology, latest literature and everything, and they feel like the existing organizations are lacking behind. And what they end up arguing is that the old people do not have enough to contribute. And when we go to the older people, older generation, what we see and what we hear is that these young generation do not know what and how to do it. They're just constantly blabbering about ideas which don't make sense. There's no blueprint. So this generational gap, which I've observed, is that there is, immense power, being controlled by a certain set of age group, which do not let the younger generation come in, but also the younger generation do not understand the wisdom that the older generation has to offer. So first,
if the youth and the contribution of the young generation has to come to the fore, the first thing that needs to be done is to realize what the Muslim world needs. From the context of being a young person, I personally feel that there is a crisis of the Muslim identity throughout the world. It is, for me, it was a very curious thing to see in Malaysia that the Muslim identity is very much integral to the part of the whole nation, and they're very comfortable in extending it. But where we come from, as a minority, it's extremely difficult to express and articulate what does it mean to be a Muslim in a modern world. How do you express your beliefs in a nation, in a world that is governed by a certain value structure that is sometimes, not most often, but sometimes is opposed to the way you see things. So my understanding as somebody who is also a researcher, and when I studied the world movements, the world Islamic movements, what I saw was that there's a lack of contemporary articulation of the Islamic faith, of the Muslim culture to the world, because what we see and what we believe needs to be articulated in a language that the non-Muslims understand. Until and unless we have a framework that people outside the belief system are able to understand, are able to connect with, there is no meaning in talking about the Islamic civilization and the Muslim culture. One of the things that we started in India was, after the CAA movement that happened, what I realized was that there is this, abysmally low presence of the Muslim narrative in the media and the think tank and the research enterprises. So we started an initiative called the Nous Network, where we functioned at the intersection of being research scholars, but also hastening the process of bringing discourse to the masses. Rather than waiting for 70, 80 years for ideas to come to life, the researchers and the people, activists, the media producers, the production house people, they all came together to think about Muslim ideas, the Islamophobia that happens, things like that, and to be able to articulate in a manner, in a way that people consume it today. So this Muslim identity crisis comes from the fact that in the post-colonial world, where the Muslims are divided into 200 nations, there are 200 different demographic ways in which the Muslim has to express his identity, to be able to connect with the constitution, the legalities. The problem of an Indian Muslim is somewhat different from the Malaysian Muslim. But at a certain level, they're also same and similar. What lacks is a theoretical framework, an architecture to be able to communicate, deliberate, and to be able to conjoin our efforts. Global Muslim Business Forum is one of those things that I saw as meaningful, in a way that it brings people on board, talks about the Islamic economies as a whole, as a block of power, of economic power, and to be able to integrate knowledge systems, to be able to integrate production processes, to be able to integrate national enterprises, and in a way, create opportunities, possibilities for the young as well as the people who are established in this space. So, the way I see the Global Muslim Business Forum is an advancement towards the possibility of making change in a world which is dominated by a civilizational interpretation that sometimes does not hold value to us. One of the things that is very much necessary before the liberal world order came into being, the literature of the liberal world order came into being. The dissemination of the literature of that order came into being. And what we lack as Muslims is that we only have one Al Jazeera. When we see the conflict, when we see the Israel-Palestine war, it's a war dominated by discourse. It's a war dominated by narrative. And there is only one global media enterprise that is trying to fight that war. Is it fair? Is it futuristic? Are we going to achieve parity if there is no participation in discourse? So apart from the way that we interpret generally business, in a way, manufacturing and things, we have to also understand that business is also about soft power. In this forum, what we've been mostly talking about in terms of technology is the application and implementation of technology, what we devour from West. We've not been talking about how to create technology. We've not been able to talk about how do, models like ChatGPT come into being. Why do these large language models have a certain personality? Why do they understand discourse in a certain way? Because they're trained in a certain data set. We don't have research institutes which are digitizing the 1400 years of literature that we have produced, training data sets on the training algorithms on those data sets, and implementing, say, Sharia compliant chatbots to be able to interact with the vast literature in different languages. The idea of auto translation through large language models is something which can be so pivotal, especially in the domain of ijtihad, for example, to be able to understand a literature that was produced 700 years ago in Persian in a certain political context that might have arisen in one of the 200 countries that you're living. Because there are the 200 different ways you have to address the problem. We've not been able to, people don't understand Twitter, Facebook, they are sovereign spaces. They are nations in themselves where whoever regulates those spaces regulates the world order. We don't have Facebook. We don't have an Uber. We don't have a Meta. We don't have what it takes right now to become a global leader. Until and unless we realize the fact, one of the tagline of the organization I run, the Nous Network, it's from metaphysics to masses. Meaning that you will have to contribute to the highest level of discourse, bring it to the masses in every possible way that the masses understand. So there are three major things that we work on. We work on discourse, we work on soft power. There's another company called Zypher, which I'm collaborating with Asad Saab. We're trying to integrate in artificial intelligence in the Quranic research to be able to bring all of this technology to the civilizational level. Another project that I'm involved is in All India Muslim Development Council. We're bringing skill development courses to the masjids. We're trying to democratize this mosque as a space which is extremely integral to the Muslim experience. Bringing entrepreneurship programs there, bringing employability there, bringing the madrasa graduates to also the way the modern education works, but also I sometimes feel sad by the way people understand madrasas do not offer anything. They offer an alternate economy in itself. There is value driven from ideology, morality, and that's an economy in itself. Until and unless we stop seeing world from a liberal secular perspective, we're not going to understand and realize the power that we have. And we're living in a multicultural, multi-plural society. It is nothing new. The Prophet lived in that time. Misake Medina was formed with plurality at the center of it. Islam is a civilization which gave the original liberal value system to the world. In a way, it created spaces of stability for the Jews themselves in the Ottoman period. They defended them from crusades, say for example. So we have to understand that we have the possibility and potential to offer value-driven, solution-oriented approach to the world, and that is what I think we need to bring to the world table. We need to bring new technology, we need to bring new regulations, we need to bring new policy, and that can only happen if we bring all of these to the nations that we are building so that people can take it as something they can see actually happening. That is what the Prophet used to do. Jazakallah khair. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.
Thank you so much, Ali Javed. I like that you mentioned generational gap, the Muslim identity crisis. You mentioned about your work. You also highlighted that Islam is about plurality, multiculturalism. Just a quick one. You mentioned about the Muslim identity crisis. The Gaza crisis, I think, highlighted the lack of Muslim consciousness. And if you look at the literature, Ibn Khaldun used to talk about issues in Morocco and in Mecca, in Cairo, as though they were only one ummah. And now when we talk about Muslim issues, it's like Indian Muslim issue, Malaysian Muslim issue, Indonesian Muslim issue. Every country has a different Muslim issue. When in actual fact, the Gaza crisis showed that the ummah is united in, I think, in this issue. And I think it also shows how fragmented we have been by colonialism. And even now, you mentioned about the liberal order, which is a Western construct. And I think you mentioned that. I think there needs to at least be an alternative view or discourse on how Muslims view themselves. Because we've been following a different construct. So well done. I think very, very interesting. A lot of food for thought. Last but not least, we have Nini Daing, very, very experienced in social entrepreneurship, and has worked with a lot of young people, including Muslim youth. So I'm going to leave the floor and pass the floor to Nini. Take it away.
Thank you, the handsome moderator. I feel that, to be honest, I can actually retire now. There's no need for my harapan, considering that we have such, impressive young people, at least younger than me, except maybe for that one. And I feel that already, I think this, and rightly so, when I think Ali Javed mentioned that in as much as the world changes, there's little that changes as well at the very same time. And that is that we're still living in the world where we're very obsessed with a very specific definition of success. And success that is really guided by the idea of, you need to have status, you have to have a certain degree of wealth. And achieved in most part shamelessly through at the expense of other people. And we do unfortunately see this day in and day out, even within our Muslim countries, where we forget the values that we're supposed to live by on a daily basis. So I think it's the idea that society is still getting duped with this idea that the winner takes all, and I think that's still a very Western value. And that making money for yourself is the only guarantee to a very good life, and we see this day and out even within our education system and the way that we do business. Business as usual is we feel that this is the way to go. So really, what our question in my harapan is, how long more can we continue to do this, to still make the same mistakes again and again, and deny the fact that in a lot of the things that we do, we understand very little of the consequences of our own actions. And this is very important for me, for young people, because they have to understand that there is an alternative. And this alternative, we believe, is through empowering them, enabling them, as well as enlightening them through social entrepreneurship. So when we say enable is really about developing capacity, letting them know that they have a safe zone in which they can actually operate, that they can start with small community projects which they feel absolutely passionate about. We're looking at from the ages of 13 right up to 35, slightly younger from the definition in Sarawak, but 35, to really look into more about, understanding what their strengths are in particular. When you talk about positive psychology, is the idea that they have strengths that they can actually offer and they're very unique to them, which they can actually put to good use in changing and transforming lives of other people, and social issues as well as environmental issues that they may be very passionate about at a much younger age. So we want them to understand that they can also contribute to changing people's lives in a very positive manner. And I think the other way is to also, the other thing is to also empower them. And what we mean by that as well is to ensure that, yes, they can start something, they can fail, but the idea is for them to be able to understand that failure is part of developing grit and resilience, which I feel is lacking, particularly now, which we have resulted in quite a lot of issues, including issues of mental health. We see this increasingly among young people, and they need to be developed in such a way that they may face difficulties or challenges in a way that can sustain not only themselves but other people around them as well. The other thing I like as well is research. And I like the fact that Ali, you do a lot of work in making sure that it's palatable to everyone, and we want to be able to make sure that, and as far as decision making is concerned, young people can also look at consuming the right data, understand how to value data, and do research at a much younger age too, so that their decision making is not based on whatever lah, right? So we want them to start earlier on, because that's where you develop. And we've seen how it has worked with people as young as 14. So I will not ever discount the ability to come up with the best ideas, and they have trumped over many times during our events in our incubators for schools, in universities. A lot of their ideas trump a lot of what university is churning out as far as changing lives in communities are in trying to come up with poverty alleviation type work. And we see this day in and day out. It's just that they may not be supported as they go through this process of living. You know, real life suddenly hits you, and suddenly it may be a different story altogether. So that is what we do in My Harapan. My Harapan, if you all know, My is also Malaysia. Harapan is not the political party. Harapan is hope, right? So we're really looking at really my hope in Malaysia, or for that matter the world, is really in the hands of young people, because eventually we'll become very poor and aged very soon, because we are facing a crisis as far as being aged, a more aged society is concerned. So we're not going to stay young forever. So we need to better equip the young people to with the skills, the competencies, and the experience and the exposure, definitely from the older people. That's where we look at closing in the gaps, between the wisdom of the old people with the younger ones who have the energy. And I feel it too. We started 14 years ago. I don't feel so young, but in spirit I'm very young. So I think it's ensuring that they can still keep their engines going on as much as possible, irrespective of age, because when you talk about change, when you talk about systemic change, it's genderless, although we need to be definitely better represented, I hope better represented in future GM business forums, as well as youth should also be part and parcel of the conversation as we talk about all these other areas as well, which I feel we're not, and as much as I'm not young, I feel we need to start that conversation definitely rolling, and that's where we stand as far as My Harapan is concerned. We do, like I mentioned, we do accelerator programs, incubators. Eventually what we want to see is Malaysia, and hopefully even maybe Sarawak, to come up with the best social enterprises, not because of anything, because they have the potential to create the most impact, and they can definitely not be, they won't be able to do this alone if it's just us. We need stakeholders. We need government, good government policies. We need private sector involvement. We need more of that, definitely. We need funding. I heard just now MAFCAP said impact, investment, not so penting, is still about the money. That narrative has to change, and especially as a Muslim community. So that would be it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nini. I wholeheartedly agree with what you mentioned. You mentioned about the redefining success, not about money. You mentioned about the need for young people to lead today, not tomorrow, start early. Failure is part of that process. You mentioned about the importance of not dismissing young ideas, which can be innovative, and also young people must be in leadership and be part of the major decision-making process. I think these are important points, and I think especially for Malaysia, there is actually a very interesting conversation I had with Scandinavian ambassadors in Malaysia, and I asked them, how come Finland can have a prime minister at the age of 38, 39, right? And in Austria, Sebastian Kurz was a chancellor at the age of ridiculous, like 35 or something like that, 35, 30, 33, 35. And the answer they said was, there's not evidence-based, but they said that these societies tend to be more egalitarian. They tend to not see hierarchy as a barrier for people to rise up. So it's not so much meritocracy, but it's more like, okay, I think if you feel that you can lead, throw your hat into the ring. If you win, you win, right? It's not like we will empower you. It's more like, okay, so they don't block people from being part of that process. And if you win, you win. If you don't win, you don't win. So even now, Finland has an older prime minister. Even New Zealand also has an older prime minister now. So it doesn't mean that these countries are pro-youth. It's more like they are more egalitarian in a sense that we let them, compete with older people. There's no such thing as a youth wing, right? There's only one wing, our party's wing, right? There's no such thing as a youth wing. There's no such thing as a woman wing. there's only one wing, it's only one our party. So it's very interesting, when you break barriers into on what you can do. I think it's a very interesting discourse. Obviously, this will take a long time. If you get into this, multifaceted. I'm going to ask questions to the panelists, but also want to invite the members of the audience to also ask questions. You can use the mic, because I think we only have about 24 minutes. It's a lot of time for Q&A, but I also want to engage and get their thoughts. I want to go back to YB. YB, there's a demographic shift everywhere in the world. Gen Y, Gen Z, right? The millennials and Zoomers taking over from the Gen Xers and Boomers, right? How do you see this? From your lens as a policymaker, as a deputy minister, how do you engage young Sarawakians, especially the 18 to 30 years old, the really young ones? How do you see, in terms of programming or strategy, how do you engage them effectively from your lens?
Thank you, Zaim. I think most important now, I think what they call xennials or something like that, right? It has to be a total change, and as I do agree with the panelists and all that, especially with Ali. The big problem, the narrative has always been this is the right model to follow, but now it is changing. The whole world is changing. So to engage that, I know especially, I was sending off Wapres yesterday, Bapak Maruf. First thing it came out is that he was already on TikTok. He was already on Instagram. Bapak Maruf is 80 years old, right? And he's already on that kind of platform. So Indonesia is a very good model for politicians or everywhere. They come up with all this thing quickly. This is what the young people want. And as I know, I myself struggle sometimes with all the new applications, whatever it is, the apps. It is my 14-year-old daughter that comes out and tell me how to, what is the latest trend, whatever it is. But in that sense, I agree. I think what we are sitting here today, the panelists here today, we are facing the same narrative that what is happening. Yes, the issues are there, cabaran, sama, but the thing is what we want to go and do next, We want the youth to be heard. I think that is the big voice that we want to go and portray out there. And one of the things that we do, I think, Zaim, as you put it, how to handle this, part of it, empowerment, engagement, and even next year we are planning to have our Borneo Youth Summit, calling all the youth from Borneo, from Indonesia, and Sabah, Sarawak, and also from Brunei to come in. We'll invite some international speakers like you guys. I think it's somewhere, as you said, I think Nini is correct. You have to sit down and talk about it. We cannot just go and put it aside. I think that's something that's important. And beyond that, with the technology now, people are less interactive socially, but they're interactive fully on social media. That's one big issue. So we need to come out and see where the level that we can go and put our policies to come through. So it is important that if we empower the kids, the younger generation, hopefully they can learn from it. I think that's an important thing. You're right, I agree with you. The leaders, I think before COVID especially, a lot of the prime ministers of the world were below 40 years old. And look what happened to them now. Yeah, right. So, yes, they're given a chance. As you were talking about how Sarawak does it, we always say that even though the youth as a group is certain age, whatever it is, but we don't see it that way. We must have a policy of continuity in leadership. And secondly, we must have also, how do you call it, looking into the risk, managing the risk of getting our youth to be filled with, to be educated, resilient, and with experience. That's how they can make the difference. So I think that's what I can say for now. Zaim, thank you.
Thank you so much, YB, and very good to know that I think you're trying to engage on social media. You have the Borneo Youth Summit, also Sukma, the sports competition next year. We'll see a lot of the young athletes also compete and also have some level of youth engagement. And thank you also. I think your point to Indonesian politicians on TikTok actually is actually, it sounds funny, but actually is real. there's actually a case study that, among the 3 contestants for the presidential elections, the 3 are all on TikTok and they are huge, right? The videos, if you see on Instagram and TikTok, it's like 1 million views. It's just like a normal video. Like for us, it's a big deal. Yeah, for them, it's like, sejuta aja, right? So it's quite impressive, I think, when you look at the older Indonesian politicians, when they engage people, that maybe, on that point, I'll go to you, Cicelo. I just want to have a very specific question, with the summit that you do, sometimes what you come across is people talk about entrepreneurship, they talk about sustainability, climate change, but sometimes they also talk about the really sensitive issues, like even now, right, with Gaza, the more political issues or activist issues. How do you come across these issues specifically during the summits that you hold? Is it part of the agenda? If it's not, then how do you address, this idea that, young people are challenging status quo, right? If you see what's happening on TikTok, sometimes they challenge status quo. How then do you, how do you see this? How do you see this surge in activism amongst Gen Z specifically? You're Gen Z, I'm millennial, so I think now I want to ask you a Gen Z question. How do you see with rising activism amongst young people, maybe through the summits that you are in, maybe in the work that you do? How do you see that, and how do you address that? I just want to hear your thoughts. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for the question. I think it's a really tricky question, but every year we have like several times. Like this year we have like 3 times, like education, economics, and health. So if we are talking about the global issues, like as you mentioned before, I think we cannot put it more for this event, because like we are focused on our times, but we invite speaker across the world. For example, we invite from academian people and expert people to join this event, and we hope that after this event, all the young generation can know about what is exposure, international exposure to join this event. So that's why I think we cannot put it more about these global issues in our events. Yeah, thank you.
It's good that can you just talk about the three again, the 3 themes?
Education, economics, and health.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the idea behind focusing on the 3?
So actually, we are focusing on SDGs goals. So every year we will change our times. Next year we will change in climate change, education, and economics. So that's it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ali, let's talk about NOWS. NOWS, yeah. The way I remember is NOWS or never. So NOWS network. I want to understand how do you communicate these sometimes complex ideas to the masses without oversimplifying or losing some of these meanings? You mentioned a lot of it on research, right? How do you sort of translate that substance to the public? Especially when it comes to contentious issues, and I think you mentioned a lot, born from the CAA 2019 movement. How do you then communicate with the public? And I also want to understand, like especially in India, with sometimes the government can be somewhat hostile towards the minorities. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? How then do you engage policymakers and try to translate your ideas into tangible results? Yeah.
One of the things that I saw revolutions happening on YouTube was the excessive use of motion graphics and animations. So even topics as complex as calculus and linear algebra were being shown through 3D graphics, and I learned a lot of maths which I could not learn when I was young through my classes on YouTube by these Stanford graduates who were using visual tools to communicate. So I realized early on that you have to, the problem is not with the complex ideas. The problem is with the tools that you use to explain them. So even a big word can be reduced to us, by bits and pieces, how it's moving through shapes and things. So we use motion graphics, we use graphs, we use maps to be able to say, for example, Gaza and Israel conflict, Palestine-Israel conflict. Usually people won't understand the depth of it unless they see the map and regions in the maps where there is occupation. And then they realize how difficult is it to extract 2 populations immediately together. And the geographical map, while telling you history, it moved from here, it gives a context. So when we do videos,
idea, context, idea, context, idea, context, so that people regularly get to realize what is being talked about and what is the example of it. And then you give them the grander idea, then again pieces, then grander idea. The second part is that, see, because you mentioned me as somebody who's a scholar, so my main area of interest has been philosophy. So I do philosophy. For myself, I've constructed a way of thinking which I call philosophic calculus or transcendental contextualism, in which the question was, what is the alternate point of view through which you actually articulate reality? So for me, it was bringing a new theory to life. And when I see that picture, liberalism, communism, all of these isms, they are a subset of a larger grand theory. The way you understand theoretical physics, there was Newtonian physics, then came Einsteinian physics, enveloped the Newtonian physics, and then came string theory, which took care of quantum mechanics and so. So these are theories which take into consideration the fact that there are differences that emerge at different scales, and there are reasons behind them when you understand the logic behind them. So when I see paradigms, when I see alternative paradigms, I see that they come and become because of reasons. Then my question is, the first principles approach, what is the logical nature in which differences can arise? What is narrative? What is point of view? What is a perspective? And then I build a theory where context and universals, particulars and universals, can both live together and yet be part of a grander scheme. So it is within that context that we see problems holistically. We think, say for example, there was a hijab ban in India a few years ago, and we did a video on that. We decoded the whole judgment. So at one point of time, the judge is using liberal values. At some point of time, feminist values. At some point of time, socialist values. And then he's talking about the Sanatan Dharma. And then he's talking about the historical context in which came. And point by point, within that paradigm, we proved the inconsistency in that argument itself. And then we introduced that given these ideas, there's a grander way in which you can understand hijab as a perspective. And you cannot, constitutionally speaking, within the nation context, you cannot ban it. Given the fact that every value, choice theory, secularity, liberalism, none of them will prove your case. So it is about first getting to know what is the opposite person's view. You cannot, have a conversation until and unless you know what a Marxist believes. The moment you study it, you'll realize 80% of the things are the same. The way the Prophet brought social welfare, it's a lot to do with class struggle. Then you would say, no, but the Prophet also brought market. So you'll say, when you read capital, 80% of the capitalist values are also there, but they are balanced by the socialist thought. So you have to understand what we are dealing with, and we see through the prison of conflict, and that prison of conflict has been provided by the West only. The war of civilizations, the clash of civilization, Huntington. The idea is, okay, there's a clash, but every theory is also talking about universals. Without the possibility why me and you, who believe in two different ideals, are able to understand each other's ideals, then there is a structure, substructure of humanity that talks about it. So we have to go deeper. The 21st century is about revisiting thought, not just institutions, then bring institutions to life. Thank you.
It's not just revisiting, but I think you're deconstructing also some of these isms or paradigms, right? And I remember in university, the lecturer says that how you view life is based on your lens, right? You can have a Marxist lens, and all you see is just Marxist class warfare. If you have a liberal lens, everything is like, okay, free market. Then if you have, the lens, but I think you're interesting because you are wearing spectacles with multiple lenses, and you can see, the many isms in there. And I think that's not easy, right? Because I think that's you sort of need to have deep thinking and introspection to understand and deconstruct. So it's very interesting how you view issues. And I think many of us just view an issue from one lens, right? Which is whatever that lens is, right? Marxist, communist, liberal, nationalism and all that. So very, very interesting. Nini, I have a question that I wrote this down also, just based on our chat yesterday night also. You know, you know, I've always had this question I want to pose to you based on sort of what I know about my harapan. But the idea is, how do you foster social entrepreneurship or youth entrepreneurship, right? Youth entrepreneurship or social entrepreneurship without compromising on social responsibility? Because sometimes a lot of people say SEs also, they say that we have to focus on the business model first. The business has to be sustainable financially, then we can focus on the impact to the community. So there is a thinking that says that you have to be financially sustainable first and then worry about the community afterwards. Meaning, what it means is I can take my time to build my business, be financially stable, and then worry about my beneficiaries afterwards. How do you see it? Is it a prevailing thought also among many social entrepreneurs that say, no, focus on the business first, the community can come once we are sustainable? How do you see this thinking, and how does my harapan approach this? Is it something that you see differently? Burning question. I don't know if I don't want to put you on the spot, but I want to hear your thoughts.
I would disagree that there are social enterprises, therefore, because they're not motivated by ensuring that they solve a social issue. But we understand that in order for you to do that, in order to create the sort of impact, because impact takes a long time. When you talk about changing people's lives, you talk about poverty eradication, it's multifaceted. There's so many layers to it. As with human beings, there's so many layers to us. You supply one solution, and then another problem will eventually come up. So for us, the idea that they're all equally important. The fact that I think even as Muslims, it is very important that we're not driven by the amount of money that we have in our pockets, but whether or not whatever what we do have positive consequences to the people we are benefiting or we hope to benefit from. So we have to look at that first. For me, what we do is you would have to definitely have more of a theory of change. That means in each activity or the sort of inputs or activities that you want to do in your business, it's still a business. Some people say, oh, no salary, because no, if no salary, that's a charity sometimes, right? So we are not against the idea of money. But how do we use that money and for what purpose is super important. So to say that, oh, we wait much later, then for me that's CSR lah. Like if I get money, then I give. If don't have money, don't need to give. So for me, it's fine if they feel that they want to do it that way. For us, is a choice, right? And we have nothing against that. But to deem yourself as a social enterprise, and in order for you to you have certain things that you need to, the conditions to a social enterprise is you have to have, yes, a business model, super important, but you have to understand and measure your impact, whatever it is. And impact is both negative and positive for sure, right? So we have to be accountable for everything that we do. We have to have a good understanding of that, and that's where the bulk of the work as far as social enterprises are concerned also lay lah. So it's impact first, impact first, but business and business models very necessary. You have to be very savvy, business savvy, and you have to consider also a lot of things within operationally that what we call now part of ESG governance and all that. These are already embedded within a social enterprise, that you treat your employees fairly, equitably, that you have some gender, you understand the gender differences. You have to take those into consideration. I mean, we follow the principles of social business, which is by Professor Muhammad Yunus. We advocate for that because it covers all the issues with regards to ensuring that you're motivated by ensuring that there's poverty alleviation, there's reducing unemployment, and that we're going towards net carbon, right?
And thank you for that. You mentioned that ESG is the central mission. It's not an afterthought for social enterprises. And I think even the word ESG sometimes can be a bit of a dirty word, right? I mean, like, oh no, we have to comply with ESG. No, maybe you should think about that in the beginning. Thank you for saying that, because this thought about making sure you're financially sustainable first, and then worry about the impact later was mentioned to me by not Malaysian, by a foreign organization that teaches social entrepreneurship. And I thought that was a bit odd when he told me that. I was like, wow, okay, this is a bit dodgy, but okay. I want to end this session. I'm just mindful of time. 4:25, and I believe Deputy Premier is in the building. I want to just end the session by giving everyone just maybe a minute or maybe a few sentences on maybe your call to action. In the room are not just young people but also slightly older people, slightly. Maybe some call to action, maybe some advice in terms of what is your aspiration for for young people, but also maybe how older people, slightly older people, can treat younger people. So just a few, in other words, just your aspirations based on this topic. If possible, 5 sentences. Yeah, 5 sentences. 1 minute. So we do have about 5 minutes. So I'll start with maybe YB first, and then we'll go down the line. YB?
Okay, parting word. I think youth is undoubtedly our engine of growth for the economy. So because of that, I think to youth, I always say, if you don't know us, if you make a mistake, apologize. But most importantly, we as the leaders or whatever, we must help them grow and give them the courage to make a better change, resilient, and also to have the experience and wisdom to make a better future for them all. I think that's all I can say for now. I think since you give me 1 minute. But anyway, it's a good discourse, and I think we all face the same problem. And the best is that, as Nini was saying, let us sit down at the table and chat about it. I think that's the best thing, that the youth of the world should be able to say something. Understand the difference, improve on it, and create a better future for everybody. I think that's it. Thank you, Zaim.
Thank you so much, YB, for being with us, taking time off your busy schedule. Thank you so much. Susilo, your thoughts?
Can you repeat?
Your aspiration.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I think, first of all, we have to do like a collaboration with any organization, because like we cannot do by our organization only, but we have to do with another organization. Then, of course, we can make a big impact in our society and also our organization, which is actually we can start from do like cooperation with another organization to build the best or the big impact in society and global issues. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think the work you do on a global scale actually makes a real difference. So kudos. Yeah, very, very happy to see.
Yeah, yeah.
A youth leader from a neighboring country.
Yeah, yeah.
Trailblazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Well done, well done. Yeah.
All right.
Ali?
Thank you.
What I can tell you is what motivates me to work in the community space. Leaving a career and coming to this space is that I believe that every moment and every time that we give into this, what we are trying to achieve is to solve the problems of the community. And what I see here is getting motivated that people are working towards that same goal. But what I would want from especially the older generation is to give us a chance. What I see is in closed door meetings we are appreciated, and when the time comes to let us have an experimental space, and nobody bats an eye, and people stop picking up phones. That's how harsh the reality is. So we have to be giving chances rather than just appreciating. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I think it's to have the courage to take those decisions to actually do lah at the end of the day. I think there's a lot of talk. I think that there is enough of a baseline we can actually work on with. Is to really, yes, if we want to talk, is for us to decide what to do and to actually implement and deploy and start doing lah, versus talking.
Yeah, thank you so much. Don't do NATO, right? No action talk only, right? Yeah. Now I wanna just quickly end with my own contribution, if you don't mind. I wanna just change the paradigm if I can. So young leaders are not future leaders of tomorrow; they are future leaders today, just in their own right. And I think if you think that way, you will always learn from young people. I always learn from young people, and I always make a point to treat them as my equal, even though they are younger than me. I may have more experience, but I always make a point to listen to them as much as I listen to older people. And I know they feel appreciated because they still talk to me till today. So hopefully with that, I think you can do the same for young people, including your children, your relatives, your cousins. Listen to them attentively, because sometimes the ideas they have may actually change the world. But if you ignore them, they will also change the world. So with that, thank you so much, and we will end the session. I'll pass it back to the MC. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zaim, our moderator for today. A big round of applause also for our speakers, the Honorable Dato' Gerald Rentap Jabu, Ms. Nur Farini Daing, Mr. Ali Javed, and Mr. Joko Susilo. Can we have a group photo? And indeed, ladies and gentlemen, who are left, and one lady. So actually in Sarawak, yes, I do believe, as also the youth, the Honorable Dato' Gerald and his ministry has always supported and empowered youth, yeah, to go forward, to bring new ideas to the table. And inshallah, we pray for a better Sarawak, we pray for a better Malaysia, and we pray for a better global Muslim world. So with that note, ladies and gentlemen, we wrap up our parallel session at Meeting Room 13. We hope to see you at the Great Hall. We shall convene with the closing ceremony, which will be attended and graced by the Deputy Premier of Sarawak. Jadi tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, kita ucapkan wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Syukur alhamdulillah. Sekian, terima kasih. See you in the Great Hall. A round of applause, please.